things like the Diana available, things like the set available. A lot of really strong picks open for Suning.
And Akali locked in first. Will we see TS respond with the Sylas again? Now, Bin is definitely a good Akali, but one of the best Akalis that we have in all of LPL is Angel. He's got this monstrous Akali. You know, when they always show that montage in between games, I'm so used to seeing that quadra kill should have been a pentakill. His team stole it, but that quadra kill from Angel that he had earlier in the split was absolutely insane. Yeah. So I would like to see this matchup go in the mid lane. Like, I'm sure QingTian and Bin have, you know, good Akalis, good Sylases, but I want to see the Knight Sylas versus the Angel Akali. I feel like that's the matchup that we're looking for here. Same 1-2 rotation from TES. Makes me think that Suning will go for a similar style here with the Varus picked, since it did work out in game 1 for Suning. Varus is definitely not the issue with their team comp. You see it hovering, and looks like it's going to be locked in here.
We're kind of just going to be rinse and repeating on the draft here. And to be honest, if you're Suning, I can understand going, look, the draft wasn't the issue. We could have won that game. We kind of dropped the ball. It wouldn't surprise me. You see Huanfeng practically meditating on the screen here, trying to detail after the end of that game one, and I don't blame him. But this would be interesting. Take the Sylas away, remove that counter matchup. Certainly could be one angle to take, but which one goes up to Bin? Because I have to say, Bin's Akali performance didn't feel like he was able to impact the game too much.
Man, I just want to see a Lucian on 3 here for Knight. Put both of these solo laners into the dirt. It doesn't matter who goes mid at that point if you grab Lucian here. The Zed hover. Oh man, I would love a Knight Zed. The Kiana, I would. He's just teasing us. He's just teasing us. It's not gonna be a Zed. It's gonna be a Lucian, right?
Yeah, we'll see where it goes at the end. I doubt it will be the Zed, depressingly. It would be so good. It would be so good. You're right, it's the Lucian that comes on through in the end. And you're absolutely right. He's going to have fantastic lanes to go up against. He also has an AP jungler, right? So having these AD solo lanes is fantastic. If this set makes it through, if QingTian can get a set up in that top side, like, this is dream solo lanes, honestly, for the side of top esports.
Yeah, and Diana is normally fine being a sole magic damage threat on the team, so I assume Suning will ban Draven here as well. The question for me is, are they going to ban the Aphelios? I mean, JackeyLove didn't have the best lane phase, but still one of the optimal champions with this Thresh. Draven is banned by Suning. TES last ban. They have a lot of options here. I think that they're just going to throw another ban towards jungle, most likely. If they want, though, they could ban the Leona if they feel like that was tough to deal with in the bot lane.
Hecarim getting found away. I have to say, I was not expecting to see a Hecarim ban. It's not a pick that we've seen in a while. I forget whether he got buffed on 11-13 or 11-14, but
he got buffed like 4 times in a row. But normally his build, he's just a different champion now. I mean, they put all the damage back into his kit. So Hecarim is generally just a Divine Sunder power clear jungler that's meant to carry the game. Aphelios on 4 for TS as it wasn't banned out. Assume that Suning's going to go with the Leona again. Question is, what is the jungle pick going to be for SofM? I feel like we're going to get a spicy one this game. I just got that SofM feeling. Oh, but Nautilus ended up being locked in this game. Okay, interesting.
Nautilus, a bit of an on special as well. This is one of his preferred picks by a significant margin here. And now we have to see what SofM goes for. I mean, the Kayn. I want to see his Kayn. We've seen his Kayn so many times. Like, the Umbral Glaive build. It is a Kha'Zix for SofM. We wanted spice. Spice is exactly what we get.
I mean, it's spicy. Look, I'll be honest. I think TS hard won this draft, but I love the fact that SofM is playing the Kha'Zix. I just want to see what tech he has. I know he's going to have some, like, weird item choices. And the thing about Kha'Zix right now is there's a lot of different approaches as to what is the best build for him in the jungle. Like, me as an Agarin connoisseur watching his stream a decent amount, I know about the Gore Drinker Kha'Zix, the Mura mana into Gore Drinker Kha'Zix. Not sure if SofM would play a Bruiser Kha'Zix build. Knowing him as a player, I feel like he would favor those types of builds, but there's also obviously all the lethality builds. All 3 lethality mythics are all good on Kha'Zix. The Eclipse, the Dustblade, and the Prowler's Claw all have their own uses. So I think that this will actually end up being a pretty interesting game, at least from the jungle perspective.
And I do feel like as well, it's one of those kind of matchups where Diana, you always talk about how Diana is pretty weak in the early stages of the game. Kha'Zix is one of those junglers that is more than happy to jump into the enemy jungle and wreak havoc, especially if he can actually find a 1v1. Thing is, top esports very coordinated. The odds of SofM actually finding an isolated 1v1 against karsa in the early game seem between 0 and 0 to me.
Yeah, I think it just really depends on the playstyle. That being said, if the game goes like it did last game, Kha'Zix is going to be a huge pick here for SofM. It really comes down to being able to invade with this pick. In direct like 2v2s and 3v3s where people are all revealed, Kha'Zix is not one of the strongest champions in the game. The real place where this champion excels is if you can get 1v1 situations. You get buff invades, you're able to set up on somebody's like 7-minute respawn of their red or their blue, and you end up in that brush level 6, absolutely can one-shot the jungle. So a bunch of things to see here. The electrocute taken by Kha'Zix, so I assume that's going to be more of the lethality style Kha'Zix based off rune choice. If you do end up going Gourd Drinker, it's normally a Conqueror style build. So yeah, we'll have to see what he ends up going in this game. Could just be a Duskblade in this situation here. And the other thing to definitely talk about is the evolve choices by SofM. Will he end up going with that Q or that R evolve for a game like this?
We'll have to see. And we basically didn't talk about the fact we also have the new Mundo coming in. Obviously, incredibly strong pick. QingTian can play weak side with that, and it means karsa can focus on making sure JackeyLove and Zhuo don't fall behind again, because it didn't look so hot in game number 1 for them. One thing that I do want to mention as well is SofM, he's a player that has been around for years. His tournament history goes all the way back to 2014, and he has played plenty of Kha'Zix before. Just because you haven't seen it in the competitive meta for a long time doesn't mean he hasn't played it in the competitive meta. He's got 21 games of Kha'Zix across his career with a 52% win rate. So not the most dramatic win rate, but certainly a very experienced Kha'Zix player. This isn't something that he's just pulling out of left field. This is something he's been playing over the decade.
Yeah, and the W start on Raptors for Kha'Zix. This is the old school clear when Kha'Zix was meta in, I think, like Season 7, Season 8. This is the clear that people would end up going for frequently. So generally when you do the Raptor start here, it's essentially saying that you want to full clear as much as possible, which is what Kha'Zix does. Now, Kha'Zix is not going to clear as fast as a Diana early game. It's really just staying on pace and then trying to look for these solo kills or these like cheap ganks at level 6.
Yeah, trying to find opportunities to get into those lanes and get a bit of a snowball going. And let's be honest, this entire composition from Suning, it's just about snowballing. And sure, they don't have the greatest lane matchups like the solo laning. In terms of this draft, it's going to be rough for Angel and Bin, but in terms of the composition holistically, they all want to jump in. They all want to just burst someone out before the fight.
Yeah, and this is going to be the hardest part of the game right now for Suning. The early game with losing mid. Hook onto Zhuo, but they are just backing away. It looks like it should just be a slight trade here. And it makes you think, how did TES end up dying bot lane here? Like, in the first game, I feel like this Thresh Aphelios lane should never be dying level 2.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened last time around. Obviously, Leona versus Nautilus, like, it's very different in the way that the engage happens. Like, that, if that hook is a Zenith Blade, it's very different because you're all in whether you like it or not with Leona. But the Nautilus less so. But it was a very cheeky little hook.
Oh my
God. Is Zhuo going to be able to play one away? Massive damage coming on through there. No summoners used either. So next time around, if one finds another hook, top esports bot lane could be in trouble once more.
And now they're forced to recall. This is actually really bad for a TS's bot lane. You'd want to be able to pressure this wave slightly. Because I don't think JackeyLove has enough for his Noon Quiver in bot lane. Just forced to recall because of the bad trade. Maybe JackeyLove is just going to end up staying and Zhuo will solo back here. But yeah, decently even CSing across the board. You see a Knight opening up a big mid lead, and this is just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk composition for the side of top esports then, because we mentioned how Suning want to play this one out. We talked a lot about the Kha'Zix. But hold that thought. We'll talk compositions later. Knight could be in trouble. But no, SofM just going to be pathing on down to his own jungle once again after invading onto the top esports top side. But karsa trying to make his way on the top side of the map. Bin with the Shroud, and immediately the second game in a row. He just TPs out of that. That is hilarious.
Look at QingTian. QingTian's just laughing on the camera right there, seeing him go for this twice. I mean, Bin is forced to do that in that situation. No way he's getting out. But one thing I want to focus in on here is the jungle pathing from SofM. He ended up leaving up his blue, and he skipped his red in his first 2 camps, so he did it third, meaning that he's really all-in on this full clear. This is some solo queue power farming tech that we've seen before on Reddit and things like that. So it's really interesting to see SofM do it in a competitive game, and it looks like he's getting it off without getting invaded or falling behind in any way here.
Yeah, and I mean, he's such an intelligent jungler. It's what we were talking about before, right? With specifically Karsa and SofM, it feels very difficult to rank them directly against some of the other junglers in the league because they do very much have their own style, and they are both very creative. And that's... creativity is one of the things, I would consider it an intangible, right? Where you can never quite see when creativity is going to come through and when it's going to make a difference in a game. But right here, we're getting to see SofM managing to maintain early game presence here and not fall too far behind. But Karsa could be looking for a chance on this bottom side. Blast cone's in, there's a pink ward in the brush, but in fact, he's just going to be looking for a Drake.
And he's using his bot pressure in order to get this Drake. Something that Diana generally wants to do as a champion because of her inability to really gank effectively early. Even though he did get that TP burn topside, normally this champion can't affect lanes until level 6, so you abuse the fact that you clear really fast to kill the dragon and make use of that overly buffed passive, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, Karsa will be able to grab this one for himself, and to be honest, it feels like the slower this game is, the easier the pace of the game is, the better it is for top esports, right? With the way that their composition works, with the late game scaling that they have once more, with the lane matchups that they have. Feels really good the longer it goes on. As I thought Knight was maybe going to contest that, but it's just going to be the crab going the way of SofM in the end. And I thought he was going to recall, but he looks like he wants to go a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, evolves his Q here, has his ult now, so can be quite aggressive and is going to help Angel push out the mid wave. Looks for a cheeky Q onto Knight. Knight drops the question mark. A bit of banter.
Yeah, so the Q evolve is interesting for Kha'Zix. Essentially, when you evolve Q, your Q doesn't actually do more damage. What it does is it reduces the cooldown, meaning that you'll be able to output more damage in fights. But it looks like QingTian's getting jumped on. He's just dead.
Bin! I thought new Mundo was OP, not as OP as Akali, apparently. The solo kill in the top side. I didn't even think it was possible to kill new Mundo, but Bin makes it happen. That was beautiful.
Yeah, well played from Bin. QingTian not able to flash the Q2 there. If he did flash Bin's Q2, he probably survives this. Takes the L instead, and that's a solo kill for Bin topside. Pretty standard play here.
Close to low.
Looks like QingTian is just not aware of how much damage Bin actually deals. Just ends up getting one shot.
It's kind of as simple as that, isn't it? He just jumps onto him, gets the shuriken, and then the rest is history, as they say. Huanfeng moving on over. It looks like he's going to miss the cannon and maybe a couple of other minions, but should be able to get there in time for the majority of the wave, so shouldn't be too big of an issue for him. But Herald coming onto the map, and you can see Karsa, Knight, QingTian all grouping up to try and start this one off. But SofM is here, gives QingTian a wave on the blue plant. Feels like both of these teams are well up for a bit of banter so far today. As you know, these guys have faced many times. This is starting to build into a little bit of a rivalry after the matchup at the World semi-final. But looks like Karsa and QingTian going to be able to just grab this one. Zhuo and JackeyLove have actually moved up, which is positive for Suning if they just don't fight, because Huanfeng could just keep pushing in the bottom side. SofM just going to get a cheeky little hit in. Oh, actually he's going to commit? Question mark? He just ulted. I guess that was the second charge.
Yeah, it was the second charge of his ult there. I mean, this was a little bit of cinema gaming, as Yamato likes to call it here. Just watching the enemy do the objective here because you can't contest. And this goes back to the point we were making about Q Evolve. So the strengths of Q Evolve are not only that you do slightly more damage in 1v1s because of the reduced cooldown, but also your ability to output more damage on single target objectives like Dragon Life, like Rift Herald. So getting that Q Evolve and not being able to get either the Drake or the Rift Herald means that he's not going to have the maximum efficiency out of that ability.
So what would you evolve in place of that? If you know the game is going to be slow, if you know you can't get onto the objectives, what's the standard evolutions for Kha'Zix?
So most of the time it's going to be R into W if you're not able to keep up. Q does still make your clear better because of the single target camps like Gromp, Red, and Blue. But generally speaking, our Evolve is significantly better for ganking, having the triple stealth, having the stealth go from 1.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Generally gives you a just better ability to come from some different angles. So for example, if you have like a pink ward in a side brush, in one of the line brushes mid, you can R directly into mid lane and normally get onto the enemy mid laner a lot easier with that Evolve path.
Just pretend you're Twitch, basically, at that point, and just surprise in the mid lane. But so far, very, very slow game. We've had literally 1 kill in the first 10 minutes. And as I said before, it feels like that's very favorable for top esports. Once again, have insanely strong 1-3-1 with this Lucian with a Mundo in the side lane. And for Suning, I'm not entirely sure what the game plan is, because this feels like the composition is even more snowbally than it was in game number 1. Feels like they still don't have much in the way of late game power. Here we go. Bin with another opportunity onto QingTian. The ignite comes down. Shuriken goes wide, though. And that's going to mean nothing can come of it.
Yeah, and even if he does end up hitting all of his abilities here, doesn't seem like this would end up being a solo kill. I think the real issue with the last one was how many Qs he got off before he ended up having to commit with the ult there, lowering him enough for the Q to execute to come through. That being said, when you look at this game, you're going to have to wonder how Suning is able to contest some of these objectives later on and how they're able to team fight, because they do have essentially like triple assassin, which is not going to be the best when it comes to team fighting later on. So you're going to want to see Suning start looking for some of these picks, maybe SofM going for an invade, trying to get a pick onto Karsa, something like this happening. Or else I think if you end up in front-to-back team fights later on in the game, it's going to be all TES.
And I do feel as well that this composition from Suning is kind of like a we're going to outskill you kind of composition, right? This is a lot about mechanical outplays. I don't know if top esports is the team that you run that kind of competition against. I feel like these are some of the most mechanically talented players of the entire globe, never mind just the LPL. I don't know if you can pull that one off. Suning, though, this early game, this is much more what I expect from Suning. Game number 1 was a surprise. That proactivity, that aggression that we saw is not what we usually get out of this team, and it feels like we're kind of returning to what we normally get. And then it's in the mid game, if they're not ahead, that's when they start to fall apart or snowball if they get the early game lead. This time, though, SofM is able to get onto the Drake. Karsa will not be able to contest this one. You can see him pathing up towards the top side. He's going to settle for a crab instead. But hey, at least Suning, they're getting on top of some objectives, finding themselves some advantages.
Yeah, and there's a couple items to talk about here, Munch. We got the Umbral Glaive first item, the tech out of SofM. I guess the triple mythic wasn't enough. I had to start talking about Umbral Glaive. Serpent's Fan, I don't know what this guy's going to build, all right? He's probably going to go Warmog second. But the Umbral Glaive actually looks like it will, like realistically, Umbral Glaive looks like it will be actually pretty useful in a competitive game. Being able to deny vision is really important on a champion like Kha'Zix, so you are able to find some of these angles. So that's item number 1. Item number 2, the Anathesma's chains coming in for the Mundo. Now this is generally built into most of like the split pushers. It's supposed to be the anti-split push item. And yeah, building it and I believe linking to the Akali here top.
Yeah, so the Anathema's chains, I believe, definitely, this might be the first time we've seen it in the LPL. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe this is the first time we've seen it in the LPL. Definitely going to be valuable in that 1v1 when you can target. Look at this stolen culling Knight forced out of the lane. On, unfortunately, couldn't quite connect his abilities. Had a depth charge landed there, that would have been Knight going down. QingTian's in trouble for Karsa, waiting in the wings, the Moonfall, but Bin shurikens back out to safety. And SofM, he's got his stealth. He should be okay in this one with no Moonfall. It takes a bit of an aggressive trade on the end of that one. I'm not sure that's the trade he wanted. But yeah, in the end, they both get out. This will be a lot of damage on the tower.
Yeah, this is going to be a ton of damage on the turret. I'm not sure if you want to go for the unisolated auto Q there for SofM and lose 3/4 of your life. But that being said, Kha'Zix has some of the best sustain out of any jungler, just with the healing from Talisman as well as the W. So he should be able to sustain back to full.
Yeah, he'll be okay in the end, but definitely a questionable moment there from SofM. But hey, next Drake coming up in 3 minutes time, but the Herald will come up within the next minute, and that's going to be the next target for both these teams. And I'm curious if we see bot lanes roaming up towards the top side of the map for that, because it feels like certainly for Suning, if they group up, this composition can fight for that stuff. They're not falling behind just yet. It does feel like we're still early on in the game, early enough in the game where these assassins can find picks around those kinds of objectives.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like SofM is going to path towards his red. Second Herald is up. Not the most important objective on the map, but would expect SofM to want to skirmish around it. Ideally, if you can get 1v1s on any objective, you'll just go for it. Even if the objective doesn't matter, you're just trying to draw somebody there to have the chance of taking it or taking a fight. So SofM taking red. It looks like he is just full clearing. Another big spike for Kha'Zix is obviously level 11. Once you're able to upgrade your W. Your W Evolve is probably one of the best base spells in the game. Like, Isolated becomes 90% slow. It's just absolutely ridiculous ability. So once Kha'Zix gets to that point, he'll be in a pretty good spot to actually be a little bit more annoying in team fights. On getting caught, though. Or is he?
Yeah, well, getting caught, he kind of just walked into them. I feel like there was an optional play. The Zhonya's comes on through as well, but top esports are just completely on top of him. SofM can't get any isolated damage onto the AD carry. QingTian is incredibly tanky. The Ignite isn't quite going to finish him, and the Q won't find its mark. But top esports, regardless of whether or not anyone went down, they've been bullied off the plate, and SofM more than happy to accept a Herald as his reward.
But with that Herald going the way of Suning, looks like TS is trying to get mid-tier 1. Arguably a better objective for TS, even though it looks like they lost the initial engagement here on the Herald. So get the mid-tier 1. Definitely good to take this, especially when you're playing against champions that have no wave clear. Allows you to push the wave super deep. And with Knight being so strong, don't think that there'll be anyone that can contest him on that mid wave going forward. TS with the rotation onto bot too. It's actually a pretty solid macro from TES. Getting 2 turrets for the second Herald, definitely a big win here for top.
And you know, for Suning fans, they'll see that little scrap, they'll see SofM go on the Herald, they're like, yeah, let's go Suning. But then the next 30 seconds of gameplay, that beautiful moment just falls apart as top esports take multiple tier 1s. They're also in a great position to potentially look for the Drake, although they are all going to reset here, and maybe it'll be Suning they can get on top of that. But with the bot lane pushed all the way under, you can see Angel dealing with that at the tier 2. Maybe there's a window for top esports as Herald goes down in the mid lane. Suning can use that to buy themselves space to get into that river and set up for the Drake. It's up intense. Oh no, the hook goes wide on the wall! He's back off again.
Yeah, you gotta watch out. You gotta duck Munchables. I think that was going your direction.
No, that was one of the Yankos spears, I think, actually.
Jesus.
But here we go. Top esports moving in with a pick onto On. It doesn't matter about priority. It doesn't matter about anything we talked about. Top esports can contest this Drake. Great flash from Knight. Keeps himself safe from the all-in from Angel. But this poke out of Huanfeng. SofM in trouble, though, because QingTian is here. Bin has TP. On is back. Coming across the map here. He's respawned. He's trying to get in. JackeyLove, though, on this Aphelios with his red and white weapons is going to be real scary in a fight. SofM wants to look for a steal here. They move in, they clear the vision. TP from Bin. Suning are going to look to fight this one. QingTian is there, but the Dragon already taken by top esports. Suning, at minimum, need a fight. They need a pick, but they're not finding anything. Top esports, they get the Drake, and they just walk away.
Yeah, that ended up just being a free Drake there. During that fight, I actually found it really funny. Just a little tangent to go on, but Knight tried to do the Gromp in order to heal back up, but I'm pretty sure he lost more life to it than he ended up gaining. But, you know, it just ends up being a situation where the original pick on means that Suning has to wait for him to respawn. By the time he was there, though, it was completely gone, and TES secures the free Drake there. So, well played by them, getting the 2 Drake advantage, and that's going to be tough for Suning later on in this game. With their team comp, as we stated before, not the best in team fighting. So if you can get the second Drake, you have a much bigger window to be able to play your own game.
And the depressing thing about that is this is all still off of the snowball of what happened at the Herald, right? They trade Herald for 2 tier 1s, but then you don't even get to use the Herald for anything. They didn't even finish a tier 1 with that Herald. They tried to use it to buy themselves space for the Drake, but then On gets picked, so they don't even get the Drake. So literally they got 100 gold for the Herald, and they traded it for 2 tier 1s and a Drake and a pick onto the support. It really couldn't have gone any worse over the last couple of minutes for Suning, and you can see that in the gold lead, 2,000 now in favor of top esports. And interestingly, Knight going for the Divine Sunderer on Lucian. Not going for the Gale Force, not going for the flashy kind of build, just going for pure front-to-back damage.
Yeah, he's going for the Divine Sunderer Muramana build. We've seen some Muramana builds on Lucian. I feel like there's a bunch of different ideas on how this champion should be played. Generally speaking, you'd expect a Gale Force, but the Divine Sunderer makes sense in the context of the fact that there's so many assassins on the side of Suning. So you go the Divine Sunderer in this case because of the health that you gain from that mythic. I think it makes sense, and with this Muramana build, he's just going to be a monster late game. Not only is he going to deal a ton of damage, he's going to be pretty tanky as well.
Yeah, you kind of almost a pseudo bruiser on the Lucian there with the Divine Sunderer. I may be overstating that slightly, but certainly makes it a little bit more difficult for Angel to go for the 1v1. Zhuo might be caught. This is an opportunity here. The knockup comes in, and SofM finishes one. JackeyLove gets a root though, and Karsa is here. Jumps in. Can't quite find the kill for himself. The moonfall went wide as well. Here's the Moonlight Vigil. Angel in on this side. Doesn't get the knockup though. Karsa with a great flash. Everfrost though, and a culling to boot. Angel gets the kill for that one. Now more is QingTian. Does TP into the play. Bin off on the side, but is Dr. Mundo. He can kind of go where he pleases. So Suning going to respect him. Not going to go too far.
Yeah, this is just a good pick from Suning, knowing that Zhuo had burned his flash when he killed on in the mid lane, or when he flash hooked on in the mid lane. So as you can see here, TES trying to retake control, and these are the types of fights that you love with Kha'Zix. The stopwatch comes in, but it's not enough, ends up going down, and then Karsa trying to get onto SofM, but it's a good flash from SofM to deny the moonfall, and then Karsa's just stuck in no man's land here with Angel coming in from the side. Feels like there's nowhere for him to go. He ends up dashing back, but Angel is able to just finish him off with the stolen culling here on Sylas.
Nicely done there by Angel to make sure that that Suning are capitalizing on these plays, because definitely feels like Suning have to start to be proactive like this and have to start to make things happen. Not going to use his combo on the wave, and Angel takes that as an opportunity to get a bit of damage in, but look where Karsa and Zhuo are. Angel could be in a 1v3 here, but SofM hanging around, getting some vision on that Baron as Huanfeng finishes a tower in the mid lane. It's going to be answered with a tier 1 on the top side as well. That is all 3 tier 1s now taken by the side of Top Esports. Suning are pretty far behind on the map. They're a little bit behind in gold. They're 1 dragon down as well, but the next Drake is coming up in 50 seconds. Dom, I feel like we've got to see some action from Suning here. I feel like they've got to make something happen, or this game is just going to slowly fall apart for them.
Yeah, I think the mistake here from Suning is not being first on the objective. If TES gets control, it's extremely hard for Suning to regain that. So I would like to see them back a little bit earlier so that they're able to establish some level of vision control, which will enable their assassins to get in positions and actually chunk out the carries from TES when they walk in. Doesn't look like they have it right now, though. TES getting into the objective, and you can see how TES is walking in here. They're conscious of the fact that Kha'Zix could be in one of these bushes, so they end up going together to deny the potential isolation here from SofM.
Here we go. Trying to contest for the river. Both teams in, but Top Esports have control right now. Ward into the Dragon Pit coming out from Angel. Top Esports starting to back away. Bin is going to be coming in from a flank. He's in Tri-Brush right now. Looks like he might try and blast cone into the pit. If he could hide in that brush inside the Dragon Pit, it could be huge for the side of Suning. Top Esports, they're more than happy to be grouped up. This is perfect for Mundo. He can just stand, be a brick wall, block everything. The Suning want to do. Dragon down to half HP. Hook goes wide. On the front line. Gets a knock-up onto JackeyLove. Karsa is eradicated by Bin, who looks for a little more. Jumps into the fray. And it's an arrow from Huanfeng. Suning find themselves the fight. They find themselves the Drake.
Yeah, and it was really Bin being able to sneak into the back of the pit there, into that ocean dragon or ocean map brush. Because Bin was able to get there, he was able to find a pick right onto Karsa at the beginning of the fight. No moonfall came out. Karsa wasn't able to Zanya's, and this is going to lead to Baron here from Suning. And with the evolved Q, feels like they'll just be able to get it for free here.
Massive moment in the game here for Suning. I was starting to lose hope. I was starting to feel like they weren't going to be able to get control of the game. But decisive plays around the Drake sets up for a Baron. And now these next couple of minutes of gameplay are going to be crucial. This is going to be do or die for Suning. What can they get off the back of this Baron?
And you can see they toggled the vision for us because you know that Bin now from TES is completely unspotted within this brush. Karsa getting chunked down, and this E landing means he just gets absolutely one-shot. No, not even a chance to react here. Bin didn't even have to ult in order to kill him. They get the second kill, and that's just a free Dragon and Baron. Suning is in a great position in this game to win out now.
You know, QingTian's still walking around with that swagger, but I feel like he's got to be losing a little bit of that confidence. 2 deaths now, and the Anathemas not doing nearly enough. For anyone that doesn't know what Anathemas does, just to give some context here, you can target someone on the enemy team, and essentially you reduce the damage that they do to you specifically, and if it's been on for a long time, you also reduce their tenacity. So very much a 1v1 item. In these team fights, not going to be anywhere near as valuable.
Definitely not going to be as valuable here. Wonder if he's going to stay. Oh, he actually changed it. He first linked to Bin for the 1v1 early game, and now he's used it onto Huanfeng to just reduce Huanfeng's damage to him, but then also reduce his tenacity. So if he ends up getting hit by like a hook or something, it's going to last a long time here because of those chains.
Feels like a smart decision from QingTian, especially with how these fights are going. Does feel like it's a little bit more difficult for top esports to get on top of Suning than it was in game number 1. Obviously, you still have the Diana, but it doesn't feel like the follow-up is quite as good this time around. But we'll see what they can do. We can never count out top esports. If you watch game number 1, you already know that's the case. If you've ever watched top esports before, you probably know that's the case. This is a team manages to make it happen, but Huanfeng steps up too much. The Moonfall just one-shots him. We talked about they can find their way back in. Here comes Angel to try and answer the Moonlight Vigil. Isn't enough though. He's caught out. Flashes out to safety. Karsa trying to chase him. Has the Kingslayer for health, but he's taken down by the culling. QingTian to get the kill. And now it's Suning trying to back away, trying to escape. Zhuo wants a little bit more by the looks of things. SofM is there. Bin hiding in the brush. There's no vision of this. Maybe Bin can make something happen. He's got 2 kills. He's got 2 items. Moonlight Vigil is a whole big of a whip from JackeyLove. But Suning won't find anything off the back of the fight. And that's a couple of Baron buffs gone.
And TES was able to clear out this little pocket of vision. They pink warded this brush next to their mid-tier 1. And with that control, Karsa was able to hide in this little cubby right here. Flashes over the wall directly onto Huanfeng here. And I think at this point, as Suning, you just need to give up the fight. I think Angel going in is a little bit overzealous. There's really no one to help him here. I know that he ended up landing his ability, but even with the stolen Aphelios ult, there's no real way for him to win out on this fight. Wonder if it was a misclick, honestly. Maybe he was trying to steal Diana ult there. Still feels like too much. It was just too clean of an engage from TES. Not much of a response possible here for Suning, which means that we are back to relatively even gold with 1 minute to the 3rd Drake for both these teams.
And, you know, it's moments like that where you can really see that Huanfeng was trained by JackeyLove, you know, stepping way too far forward, getting caught out, and losing the advantage for his team right there. It's a bit of a disaster for Suning. And now, Drake coming up in 50 seconds. What do you want to see out of the 2 teams, Dom? How do we set this one up as SofM? I think he's going to be fine. He'll get out of that.
So I want to see TES try to suss out where Bin is before the fight. I think they really ended up losing last fight because of the fact that Bin was able to get a flank. So the number one thing for TES here is that they need to find the flankers, find where the Kha'Zix is, find the Akali, and make sure that they aren't getting surprised by one of these assassins. So there's going to be a fight pretty deep here. It's good deep control for Suning here. So on the side of Suning, it's the opposite, right? Like, they need to be able to clear out vision. As you can see, SofM using his red trinket, which will allow them to pick off people or potentially hide in places that TES doesn't expect.
And it feels like that's why you can see SofM with that Umbral Glaive. It's going to pay dividends. Also has the Spell Shield from the Edge of Night as well. As On just trying to muscle his way towards top esports, buy space for SofM, who's already on the Drake off screen. He's just trying to burn that one down while top esports can't contest. Suning doing a really good job of just controlling space, constricting what top esports are able to achieve in this game. Another big old whiff on these AD carry ultimates. Not looking too good for Huanfeng and JackeyLove this game. There's the culling take, and that's going to be a hook onto Angel. I don't know why they're even fighting this one. They already got the Drake. Moonfall in. Karsa flashed away from by Angel. Here we go. SofM on the backline. Almost one-shots JackeyLove. And Suning trade 1-for-1, but it's the jungler that went down. JackeyLove's in trouble as Bin has found him on the backline. And Suning somehow making this happen.
Must have been a bait with the whiff for Huanfeng there to start the fight. I think it was just really good positioning from Suning. With the Kha'Zix on the side there, being able to just pelt them over and over with those Kha'Zix Ws. I think that was really the deciding factor here. And yeah, Suning is just pretty strong now. Specifically Bin with this death cap, Demonic's Embrace. He's so strong and able to just do so much in these team fights so far. Yeah, it's pretty rough. If you get into the replay here, you can see SofM going around the side. Hook misses, everything misses, but TES still opting into the fight because of the hook onto the Sylas. Moonfall came in, but as you can see, the pressure on the side onto JackeyLove from SofM was just so much. He can't step up and fight, which leaves the tanks of QingTian and yeah, pretty much the rest of TES, the Diana, just out here in the front completely alone. I think this was really well played by both assassin players from Suning here, being able to zone so much space on these carries.
The fact that SofM even survives that, honestly, is a miracle for the side of Suning, but able to play it beautifully, and now, once again, gaining deep control of the side of top esports jungle. It's all about maintaining that vision advantage. It's all about making sure top esports don't know what's happening over in the Baron pit. On gonna clear that control ward. Still a blue trinket available for JackeyLove, so top esports will be able to garner vision in the worst case scenario. But look at SofM right now. He's sneaking away into the top side of the jungle. Looks like he is going to back away, regroup with the rest of his team here. And it does feel like this is all on Angel across the course of this game. Managing to get a solo kill during the laning phase. Hook from on, but it's onto the Dr. Mundo, so it doesn't do a whole lot of anything. But Bin getting that solo kill up in the top side, managing to get himself a huge advantage, winning out these fights, taking out JackeyLove in the last one. He's on the 3 items, as you said. He's even got a stopwatch this time around. We need to see the Bin carry performance that we're getting. Honestly, we're getting too used to at this point. It feels like Suning get real comfortable thanks to Bin.
Yeah, definitely. Bin has been a super important carry for this team. This is going to be the strongest part of the game for Suning. See a face check coming in.
Knight's in trouble. Zhuo's in trouble. As SofM goes in, Angel will finish off the support player. Knight trying to dash out Karsa as well. Karsa does have flash, so Moonfall plays available for top esports, even without support. Don't count them out of the play just yet. Baron is on the cards, though. Suning can threaten that happen.
And I think it's just so much vision control coming in from Suning. The hardest part of their comp is being able to establish this because they aren't the best at walking in and checking. Looks like TS feel like they're forced to contest this, but I don't think it's going to go well for them if they end up walking in here.
Give it a go. Everyone comes into the brush. They're looking for the fight instead. They're onto the front line of Mundo. Moonfall comes on in, but it's not enough. The damage isn't there because there's a 19,000 stopwatch just coming on through. And now Suning look to clean things up. JackeyLove is there, but look at the backside. Knight trying to carry the game. He does not have the damage, and JackeyLove is alone in the world. His support is on the way, and he gets one kill for himself. Suning, it's all falling apart. When it mattered the most, Zhuo is arriving as well, and JackeyLove can push mid.
Yeah, Knight ended up doing so much damage there. Actually, really smart play from TES when they face check with the Mundo passive, meaning that Chains of Corruption was completely denied to start that fight. And yeah, Knight going into the backline was able to do so much damage with a nice pick-off kill at the end from JackeyLove here. Really smart, if you can see here on the Mundo, making use of the passive. You see those yellow shoulders. It means that he is not going to be CC'd by the Chains of Corruption. SofM goes in, you see him flash out, know that he has no ulti, and Knight goes over the wall, picks him off, and he actually almost gets Huanfeng and on here on the back. Makes you think that maybe if he committed his Q onto Huanfeng, he might have been able to do even more in that situation, but the Gale Force finishing off Huanfeng here from JackeyLove ends up meaning that Baron doesn't go over to Suning in that situation where it felt almost completely doomed.
Top esports once again find a window. 4v5 as well. They managed to find that fight. And I feel like for Suning, they should just have done the Baron. They were so close to finishing it anyway. I don't think they needed to go for the fight there. But they're trying to make it happen onto QingTian. Yeah, Bin on the flank, trying to make things happen, trying to find space in the fights. But Top Esports just completely group up. There's a shuriken in from Bin. They're just going to try and blow up the front line here. QingTian just ain't tanky enough. Infernum not going to do quite the same as it used to. Karsa looking for one, but the flash away once again. Bin survives on this one. In fact, it wasn't even a flash. Didn't even need to flash. 4 now remaining for Top Esports. They've made it happen just a couple of minutes ago. Can they do it again, though? The poke coming out from Huanfeng. It feels like this time it's Top Esports being herded. And again, the flanks. That's where the danger lies. Bin laying in wait as Karsa going in. It's going to be a hook onto JackeyLove. Huge pick from On. That's the moment for them as Karsa will fall as well. Suning make it happen. They want to find a 3rd game in the series. That's plenty of picks as Knight just backs away by himself, trying desperately to survive, but Bin doesn't want to let him go. Bin wants a little bit more action, and Bin wants to take out one of the all-time superstars of the LPL. Gets himself the solo kill, and Suning forget the Drake. They're going for the base. SofM can get the Drake by himself as they look to push us to a 3rd game, as they look to upset the favorites in Top Esports, as they look for revenge for what happened in game number 1. QingTian is damn tanky, but I don't know if he has the damage to clear the minion wave. The towers will fall. The death timers are far too long. QingTian just ain't tanky enough. Athena's chain's not doing enough as the Nexus falls, and we go to game 3.
This is a crazy game here coming in from Suning. I love the comp, the Kha'Zix. I don't know if I believed in it early, but throughout the game, it was played so well by SofM, knowing how to position and make maximum usage of his W. Ended up being useful in team fights, and you got to give credit to Bin here. Almost a flawless Akali game. Ended up getting the solo kill in lane and really transitioning that throughout the game. I think he played super well in the lane phase. Also got the big pick on that dragon on Karsa, which led to the increase in this snowball. They got Baron, Drake once again. So really, really good game from Bin. That is just classic 2020 World Championship Bin right there.
Yeah, the one man to get a pentakill kill in the World's Finals, but definitely consistently one of the best players whenever it comes to Suning series, especially on that Gwen this split. I think he's had maybe the majority of Gwen highlights that we've had in the LPL, but any kind of AP top player, you always think about his gangplank. You always think about so many different picks for Bin. It feels like this guy just, so long as he can have a decent laning phase, so long as he's not put too far behind early on in the game, he'll just take over.
Oh, I guess Mundo did just as much damage as Akali. Well, I guess Bin maybe didn't carry then. That's what that must mean, right, Munchables?
Yeah, I think that's how that works. I think one of the things that's often seriously underestimated is it's when in the game that damage was done, how much of it was burst. And like, look, Zhuo, he only did 2,000 damage, but every little 100 damage was a hook, you know? So we'll give him a participation medal. There you go. Yeah,
realistically though, Huanfeng coming in with the Varus ended up doing so much damage with poke here. And I think that Suning's objective control was much better in this game than game 1. Game 1, it felt like they were consistently the second team on objectives, and it felt really hard for them to retake, even though they had a big advantage. This game, they're in a more difficult situation, but they ended up getting control of objectives first, which meant that they were able to set up these little pockets of vision for them to play in. Obviously, Bin playing super, super well, being able to make maximum usage of that ocean map. Really good game overall from Suning. We'll have to see if they go back to a similar draft in game 3.
I have to say, I'm impressed by Suning. I'd kind of given up on them after game number 1. I thought that was going to be it. It looked like on the webcams, the mental was kind of doomed. It felt like you saw Huanfeng basically meditating before the game. I thought, like, I don't know, if they're going to those kind of extremes, maybe it's doomed, but managing to make it happen. And SofM, man, we said we wanted spicy picks. We said we wanted spicy builds. He comes out with the Umbral Glaive Kha'Zix, plays for vision control. And the crazy thing is, we saw pretty much exactly this build come out from him. I can't remember if it was last split or last year on the Kayn, right? And he played this like vision control Kayn weird build, and it looked great actually.
Teleport,
we don't see it often from him. Yeah, it was teleport as well. And like, we don't see that kind of thing often, but he knows when to bring it out, and he knows how to play it when he does. And it's one of these things that opponents don't get much practice against, right? When it's something your opponent doesn't have that much practice in playing against, you can find opportunities and windows. And SofM doing an amazing job of doing exactly that. On the Kha'Zix, we're going to jump into a break though, and we're going going to jump into game number 3 of this series. I'm so glad we get the full series of this World semi-final rematch.